Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Internet Friends. The episode where we were going to go to war with Canada, but they surrendered right away.
Yeah, they bowed out of this as quickly as they could.
So we actually did have lined up to actually have Meg on the show today, but unfortunately she has some medical stuff that made it to where she couldn't join us, which means I have to rewrite all of my material for the show. But
you actually write material for the show? I'm doing all this shit off the dome. And that's why it sucks.
Well, I do like a couple of bullet points. You guys see them on the doc all the time, but like it's just like one of those things where it's just like I just riff off of that. It's very like, whose line is it anyways? Like, you just give me the prompt, I just kind of roll.
I love that.
But it's fine. We're already winning the trade war with Canada after we impose tariffs on everybody.
Yeah. Several $1 trillion losses. Yeah, we're winning. He fucking put a tariff on an island that is solely inhabited by penguins and has zero exports.
What do the penguins do?
It's all profit, baby.
Justice for penguins on that island.
The only thing penguins have ever done in my life were at the local zoo when some people threw quarters into their chambers and they ate them and they got real sick. And now there's a sign permanently at the Denver Zoo that's like, do not throw coins.
Yeah, they had that for the orangutan enclosure in Albuquerque because the same thing happened.
I don't think children should be allowed at zoos. That's my hot take today.
No.
I fundamentally agree. I feel like you need to be like at least 16 and up, and like you have to like pass a like, okay, how do you treat animals like test, basically. You need to get certified to go to a zoo.
Yeah.
I think so.
If you're not good to animals, you don't get to see them when we've taken them out of their natural environment and put them into an enclosure.
Yeah, that's how we lost Harambe.
And that's what started this whole thing.
Seth, you better not be anti-zoo because I will fight you on this. So.
No, I am not anti-zoo.
Yeah.
I'm
anti-shitty zoos.
For sure.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are a lot of shitty zoos out there that do a lot of shitty practices. Like, I'm all for rehabilitating wild animals and preservation of wildlife. There's some practices that you can't avoid, but for the most part, like, yeah, let's try at least give comfortable lives to some of these animals.
But let's do something about the smell, because I just cannot handle
that's
the
part of the
smell.
That's a part of the experience, bro.
No, where I live right now, we've got like a bunch of elk where I just moved to. We've got like a herd of like 50, 60 elk that just wander. It smells like a zoo constantly. I can't have my windows open ever.
Tell you what, let me know when it's elk season and I can help thin the herd for you, bud. Don't tell Brie.
They are delicious. I do love a good elk.
Gross.
Sorry, Brie. All right. Anyways, so that gets us into our topic of the day, our main topic, which is going to be talking about Arcane Season 2, which was assigned by Brie.
Just as great of a segue as we've ever had.
There's no good segue.
I think it should have been like, speaking of bad timelines, Arcane Season 2.
Arcane Season 2. He should have stayed in that other timeline. Like, you see all the good shit that's happening. I know Vi died, but just stay there. Sorry, Brie, I'll let you start.
I have so much to say about that episode. So
we'll circle back to that episode. I think we all have opinions.
Yeah, I was putting this off forever because I heard the season was very, very heavy. And given just the state of the goddamn world, especially this country that we're all in, I'm like, I can't handle this kind of show right now as much as I want to watch it. But I think, as I mentioned in the last episode, like, I've gotten to the point where I can't consume any media I normally consume because they are all fucking talking about Arcane Season 2. And I was like, okay, clearly I've hit my limit with this. Although I will say, I was also mad because I listened to a podcast yesterday. They weren't even fucking talking about Arcane. And then they're like, oh, and then the part where Jace killed everybody. I was like, Jesus. But I not got that episode yet. So yeah, that was the only spoiler I got, but it was really not that much of a spoiler. So
I'm amazed you avoided spoilers because they were everywhere. But then again, I was watching it when it was coming out, so like it was like kind of like okay, not a big deal. But yeah, when it was coming out, it was everywhere on my feed.
I had to try so hard to avoid it. I'm surprised I made it this far, but I did want to start off with one. I have lots of notes on this, but I did want to mention right off the bat, which I think is like a very obvious take, a very low blow, but I think it needs to be said that I think having Imagine Dragons doing the theme song, I wish they would have changed it for season 2 because they're not in the same category as any of the other musical artists. The music in the show is so fucking good, and they are on such a lower caliber that I think it downgrades it a little bit.
I agree completely. One of the first notes I have is this theme is terribly 20 teens.
Yeah.
And as the season went on, there were more and more episodes where it would like the preamble would end and it was so dramatic. And then Imagine Dragons starts. And I'm like, oh, fuck this
Such
song.
a tonal clash. It was
I didn't love every needle drop that they had. I felt it got better at certain points. But like specifically when like Vector is turning everyone into his like soldiers and stuff, I would have preferred an original song than the song they put over it.
Yeah. There were a couple of moments where I was just like, there was a better option for this, but like I absolutely agree. Like I wish they could have just like found something maybe in the same tone as that song.
That's it.
But like especially because a lot of the artists who were needle dropped on this, like, you know, they're much smaller, much more independent, and like deserve to be highlighted for this. You know, Emily obviously is a big Ash Nico fan, so I
don't like that song at all, but I love Ashiko.
But regardless, it's just like, so like that's a lot of fun, and I wish like they would have highlighted more artists, and like just, you know, Imagine Dragons, like Seth said, is like so 20 teens. It's just like, yeah, like you guys could have updated this, but you know, that's a small gripe in terms of the regards of the overarching thing of the show.
It bumps me out because like I actually wanted to watch the intro each time because I'm like, I actually really liked the intro for this. It was very interesting, but like the second I heard that song, I was like, God fucking damn it. And especially like one of the artists I'm the biggest fan of, which he's a smaller artist, but like Woodkid is one of my favorite artists in general, and he is on both seasons, and I'm just like, how do you put fucking Woodkid in the same show as Imagine Dragons? Like I just like this, they're not even in the same class. Like how dare you? So but yeah, small great.
It's small great, but I definitely agree. Like I felt, like I said many times, that when we would transition into the opening credits, it pulled away from the emotion that we had just been experiencing, because it's like, fuck, here's Imagine Dragons again.
Yeah, it made a little more sense in season 1 thematically as well. I don't think it makes as much. I still didn't like it in season 1, but I was like, okay, I think tonally it's a little better. But like here, it just like it cuts attention too much.
I will say the intro is shorter this season than I think season 1 was. I think season 1 had a slightly longer intro credit scene.
You might be right. I'm not sure.
Or at least it feels that way to me. But then again, we watched. It's been like almost a year since we watched Arcane.
Is it really?
Season
Oh,
1.
God.
So.
And there were several points where I was like, oh, I should have rewatched this, or at least I should have listened back to our podcast to know what I said about season 1.
Same.
I will say it's much easier to keep track of all the characters in season 2 as opposed to season 1. Because I remember on our episode about season 1, I had to have a character list name of just like what was that character name again? This one was a little bit more manogeable. Because naturally we killed off most of the interesting ones. Which brings me actually to note and something I definitely want to talk about. Specifically, when you're introduced to Maddie, which I'm sure we all have opinion for, my first reaction literally was, it's like, so how are we going to brutally murder this cute character?
I wasn't expecting that, but also she fucking deserved it. So.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think we all agree. But like, it was like one of those things where it's just like they introduced like, oh, here's this little Scottish redheaded girl. I was just like, so what like traumatic thing are you going to do to her? And they waited until the very end too, which was surprising.
When she wasn't cute anymore. So, which she did, I will say, she did warn Caitlyn like very overtly. to not do that. And she's like, well, I'm going to sleep with people anyways, which, I mean, go off, Caitlin, but,
Well, yeah,
maybe
no.
not probably in your...
Hey, look, she just lost her main squeeze, you on the rebound. We've all been there.
Yeah.
True. Who was Maddie?
The fascist girl.
Oh, the one who was a traitor at the end.
Yeah.
Correct. She was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I appreciated your warmth.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fuck her.
Yeah, fuck her indeed. She got the ending she deserved. She got the day she deserved. Absolutely.
Absolutely, she did.
Actually, I want to talk really quick because I don't know if either of you got advertisements like this. Just a super small note I wanted to make on the advertising for the show. The only advertising that I consistently saw, and maybe it is me being a bisexual woman, but the only advertisements I got were the makeout scenes of Vi and Caitlin, and I was just like, weird for the show to I'm like. I'm all for it. However, I think it's weird, again, totally for that to be the advertisement for the show. I was like, that also happens way late in the season.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone else got that.
Yeah.
Well, they definitely leaned into the gay heavily in this season.
I have a note at the end when Jace and Vector are like together and then they're like warped out of time or whatever. And the note is, and history will call them best friends. That's
Good friends, roommates.
yeah.
No, Emily is a hardcore Javix shipper, so we believe in Javix supremacy in this household.
And one of my first notes is, "Aw, he saved his boyfriend."
Sure did.
I mean, fuck Jace, by the way. Like, I mean, he comes together at the end, but everything he does up until the last couple episodes is like the worst thing you can possibly do.
That's kind of what his character has been since he was introduced in season 1. It's just like,
It's true.
make worst possible decision possible.
He's very easily swayed by like the last thing he's heard. So I feel like that was definitely his trajectory. He's like, oh, well, now I'm crazy. So I'm just going to go, kill a bunch of people about it.
I mean, I mean, I did have the moment that a lot of other people had where like he comes out of the Heskeg for the first time and he's all scruffled up and homeless. I was just like, oh no, he's hot.
Everyone was hot in the time skip. Everyone was so hot.
Everyone is
Like,
hot.
because I was very much on the I don't get everybody like being like, oh, Jason's a himbo thing. It's like I don't get it. I don't see it. And then he comes out of the Heskeg.
Like,
I was just like, okay, I get it.
Hello,
even
Amber.
after Caitlin, I believe was the name of the character, I could not trace any character's name. But Caitlin gets her eye like slit and they show her with the eye patch. I'm like, oh my god, she's hotter with the eye patch.
I said specifically when we did season 1, I was just like, the character I relate to most is Vi because of all her personality traits and everything else, and then her being a bar fighting drunk was just like, stop making it more and more relatable to me because I also find this part hot.
I was gonna say, was that also your hot goth phase? Because I love this hot goth phase for her. So she looked real good.
I'm going back.
She did.
my hot goth face is making a comeback pretty soon. Trust me.
I love that for you.
Going back to the alternate reality, I think Jinx is hotter when she's Jinx than she is when she's Powder grown up.
Uh-oh, manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah.
Wait, let me get. Wait, hang on, Seth.
No,
let me
have
get
you,
this.
have you
let me get this
seen my
straight.
dating history? buddy?
I was literally about to say, so, Seth, let's unpack that. So what about it is you preferring the toxic version of women as opposed to like the self-actualized version of women?
It's a savior complex, and I am constantly going into relationships feeling like I can fix them.
Interesting.
And then you do, and it's all good. The end.
Yeah. No, it's always worked out so great for me.
Yeah, translation to what Brie just said. No, you fucking can't.
That's why I'm single, and not a single relationship I've been in has worked out.
Well, we're learning. That's good. Maybe, hopefully.
Am I?
Are you?
Well, that brings us into something Brie wanted to talk about, which was the alternate reality episode, specifically surrounding Echo. I will say I'm very glad Echo got more screen time this season. He was literally the heart of the show for me. And, like, you know, I often complain about media making characters it's hard to root for. There's no way I can never root for Echo whatsoever.
Echo is one of, if not the best character in the show. I love his design. I love his motivations. I understand. I can follow his motivations and understand them the whole time. Like, everyone's makes sense, but it's just like him. I'm like, oh, he is a good guy. He is a good guy. He's trying to do the best thing.
Yeah, and he's the one character who's always trying to do the best thing and knows when something he's doing is not the best thing. And it's just like, nope, can't do that. Like, he has the awareness.
Yes, 100%. This is my favorite episode. I love everything about this episode. I love the Echo focus in general, especially because he didn't have a lot of focus until this episode.
Yeah.
It's just so nice seeing everybody happy. Like, it's so nice seeing Xander and Silco. I'm like, I want this for everybody.
It's the alternate reality, especially when you have a show that's so grimdark like this show is. Mm-hmm. Having an episode just like, and this is what it would be like if Vi died.
Well, that's honestly,
I was about to say, like, all it took for everyone to be happy was if Vi died.
Well, honestly, I think that's such an interesting angle because I feel like I tend to get, like, I love timeline stuff like this. I think it's so fucking interesting. It makes me kind of emotional because I feel like you can get, like, into your, like, thoughts about your own life. It's like, oh my God, what was that, catalyst? What was that event? Yeah. If I just did that slightly different, would everything be, would everything change for me? And I think kind of with this view of this alternate reality, what it made me think of is that, like, grief exists in every timeline, in some capacity. I feel like sometimes people in shows like this and also just in our real life, like, we always follow this line of like, oh, well, if I did this thing differently, everything would be all right. But that's not how things work. There's always grief. There is always pain. And even though they had a pretty perfect ideal life, like, Vi was gone. She wasn't there. So Caitlin would also be unhappy in that timeline if she's still in that timeline. So there's a lot of that butterfly effect. So I hate to see, I love seeing that kind of grief, but it's like, I love seeing that interpretation of like, oh shit, things are good, but also do kind of suck still.
And that's a really good point, because when we see in other media where they do this kind of storyline, everything is too perfect. Everything is too happy. And the fact that they still had grief in this alternate happy timeline, it shows much more maturity than I think I personally have seen in other media that has done this same kind of idea.
Yeah, and they didn't do the thing where basically it was pure utopia, like everything was perfect. Like, like it was just more or less just like, hey, like, we processed this kind of grief, and there was like certain people who came together and everything else. But it's not like they made it seem like everything was still perfect in Zon. It was just like, hey, like, things are just slightly different for the most part, and like how that kind of thing would change. And like, it's easy to kind of say it's just like, oh, because Vi was the one who died. It's just like, I don't think that was the interpretation. It was just that cutoff of the series of events that happened after that moment, because it was more or less what that moment was and how things went down changed. Not Vi's dead and now everybody's happy.
Yeah, so
that one character should have shaved that mustache, though. He looked terrible with that mustache.
But also, I also have Heimerdinger still sucks.
I mean, he saved Echo.
He did save Echo. I don't remember my take of him from the first season. So I can't say whether or not I didn't like him.
I mean, he was the voice of reason, but he never did anything actively to stop anything.
True.
Oh, like the Democratic Party. Okay.
Basically. That's basically how he's coded in the first season.
Okay. All right. I got you now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, one of the major themes of the show, especially in the third act, is specifically referring to like everyone's ambitions and what they think is good for everybody. Like, that's a big kind of theme. And Bessa's, trying to like be like the conquering kind of stuff, and she's willing to go so far and not understand the consequences of what she's doing. Victor's like,
Yeah.
oh, if we just take away all human emotion, everything will be perfect in utopia. Just all that kind of stuff that goes into it.
If we completely align with eugenics and my interpretation of eugenics, then everything's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi, I am the Jesus character. View me as Jesus.
Also hot Jesus, though. What a hot Jesus character.
Yeah.
Again,
Everyone's
it's like
hot.
again, it was just like, oh no, they're hot.
Literally all of them. I was just like, all right, okay.
Shit.
Makes my
all
mind
right,
happy.
fuck.
I'm not even a Jinx guy, and even I was just like,
Hey.
all right, here we go.
So one of the first notes I have is Jinx could get it, followed immediately by, wait, how old is Jinx in this? I looked it up. She's 17 or 18. So depending on, no, she cannot.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't meet my cutoff, which is typically mid-20s. So that's all you, Seth.
28 is my current cutoff.
It's like the murder for me, actually. You know, the murder.
Oh, really? No, I'm
like
okay with the
and
murder.
The age. Also, like, I'm just like, there's a lot of also age, but also like the murder. But I will say, something
as long as the murder is justified, like if I understand it, like blowing up the center of government, totally get it. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that neither of you have ever dated an eco-terrorist, because that's something I've done, and it's kind of hot.
Again, going back to Seth's thing with, specifically toxic women.
I
don't call that toxic. I call that right.
I support women's rights and women's wrongs.
I don't want to get put on a list, so we'll save that for the after show.
Yeah.
Brie is a confirmed eco-terrorist.
That whole thing gets cut out.
Yeah. Cut all that up. I was kind of interested because I the first couple episodes I was like, wait, does she like not have psychosis anymore? I'm so confused why she's like doesn't have these breaks anymore. But I realized it's because she had stability, which is something that she thrives on. So it's just like we didn't really see it until she has this character that relied on her and she had to take care of. So until something happened to her, that's where her psychosis came back. So I was like, oh, okay, it's still there.
Yeah, and like it was one of those things too where like that shift was very dramatic, like, and that's probably one of my critiques of this season, especially that and like the pacing, because the pacing was very kind of jarring at a lot of spots. But specifically, I interpreted it as once she had somebody who she had to care for and not necessarily had to rely on other people to care for her, like basically that kind of flipped the switch, and like it gave her like empathy for characters like Vi and understanding of like why Vi was the way she was, which is why when they are brought back together, it's like almost like all the stuff had never happened, and then they just fell back into being sisters as opposed to just mortal enemies.
Yeah, I actually do disagree with you on that, especially the pacing. But because that is one of the biggest criticisms of this season, that everything happened too quickly, especially like, oh, so they just forgive each other now. But I will say, especially because I think one of the biggest themes of this is the unbreakable bonds of love. And there is a great video on OSP about this for season 1 and 2. Just like, I have 2 sisters, and let me tell you, if they did anything, I would still love them regardless. So it's just like, I feel like sometimes ideally often, I suppose in some situations, it's just like, sometimes you love somebody too much and yes, they hurt you, but if they kind of show some change, like they're still your sister, they're still your family.
As people who have sisters who have done terrible things, I disagree with you. Some of my family are dead to me. I think that's a separation of personality that we're dealing with right now.
Yes and no, but I'm just like, yes, obviously there's people who don't like their family, but I don't know. I think for some people it's just like that bond is too strong, that they can forgive each other very quickly because they know that they're who they are deep down. That's all I'm saying. So
adds the middle ground of this. Yes, I have gone a non-communication with a lot of my family because of the ways that they've treated me and that I can't forgive. I have she's my best friend in the entire world. Her name is Marissa. We've been friends since high school. She is the flakiest person you'll ever meet. She blows into town, exists in my life for a few months, and then disappears for 5 years at a time. She is my sister. I love her to death, and in my mind, she can do no wrong, and I will always defend her.
Yeah.
Actual family members of mine, fuck them. So I see both of your arguments, and I don't think either of you are wrong.
For sure.
Yeah. And again, that's
a context thing
interpretation.
for sure. And absolutely. And what I think a biggest thing, and I'm quoting the video I just watched about this, because especially Vi as a character, I think one of her greatest strengths and biggest flaws is that she doesn't give up on people fucking ever. So it's just like and especially her relationship with Caitlyn and with Jinx, that's why she is able to forgive so quickly. Especially when Vander was involved, she's like, oh, my family, like I need to protect my family. Like that is like her driving force at all times. So I'm like her protecting the people she loves is all she knows. So I feel like that, at least from her perspective specifically, I feel like it makes sense to me that she would forgive a little quicker.
Yeah. No, and she wants to see the best in Jinx at all times.
Yeah. Still her sister, yeah.
But she didn't have to become a fucking cop, though.
True.
Well, I mean, she was grieving as well. I think grief does wild things to people, as we could see from both Vi's and Caitlyn's. Like, grief is a hell of a fucking thing. And another thematic thing that I really love is just like, again, this is in the video I just watched, but they're talking about how just the framing of Caitlyn attending her mom's funeral and how everything has no color except for like the casket and the flowers and her. It's just like her life has changed drastically. And actually along that note as well, this is a weird thing to say, but I kind of like that they showed her dad being so devastated by the loss of his wife, because I just like feel like sometimes when there's like major deaths in this, they're like, hey Buttercup, buck up, like, you know, I'm your father and I have to protect you, but it's just like he can barely fucking speak because he is devastated by this. So like I think the way they handle grief in the show in general is like it's such an interesting way to see it, because grief it's overwhelming and it causes you to do a lot of things that you might not normally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
pull up the content.
I know, I'm trying to think
sorry,
of
my dog's bothering me.
No, you're good. But Bo can do no wrong, and you know this.
I did want to say fucking Mel. Mel is the coolest in the season. I love her whole mage shit. Very cool. I love character. I loved her in season 1. And I love that they didn't kind of like undermine her power by any means, because like she is so politically powerful in the first season, and she does that all on her own. She is just so charismatic, so fucking good at what she does. And the fact that she has powers now doesn't like take any of that away. She just becomes like more powerful in a slightly different way. Like I love the design of that. I like that whole arc. It is so fucking interesting. So she fucking rocks. And
I do wish they spent more time on that arc. Personally, I felt like she got a little sidelined compared to everybody else. But again, with a show with this many characters, it's hard to balance, because they introduced a lot of new things. Like we said, we were very happy to see Echo get brought in, but like I felt Mel's stuff got kind of like backburnered quite a bit.
I really liked her stuff.
By it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what they do. Well, they're talking about whatever they do next after Arcane is going to be central to Noxus and specifically Mel. So I think we're going to get more of her in whatever the next iteration of this is going to be.
Okay.
I would find that.
One note I have is, all of a sudden this is Silent Hill, because a lot of her arc reminded me of Silent Hill.
That dark horror element, a lot of that.
I'm also really glad that Zangief is getting work after Street Fighter. I hope you both know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're referencing. Yes, that one character.
You get a solid eye roll from me. You're welcome.
I'll take an eye roll.
Eye roll, man.
Attention. We love attention.
We talked about it a little bit in our last discussion, but specifically, obviously the show is based off League of Legends, which is
a game we all love and play regularly. Absolutely.
Brie does not speak for everyone on this show.
Every day I'm logging onto those leagues to get my coins. What do you do in that game? I don't know.
Again, this makes sense with your taste in women that you would also be in the League of Legends. Just toxicity all around.
Fair.
But when the show was coming out, it was bringing up the discussion again about like the game, there was renewed interest, and like when season 1 came out, it seemed like they kind of kept separately. I saw a lot of stuff after season 2 from the people who are really into League of Legends, but like hated the show for no other reason than just like, oh, everybody's all into these characters. These characters suck in the game. It's just like, we don't care about the game.
We really don't.
We really do not care about your game. And it's just so fun.
I said this in the last episode because I did watch a little bit of it. I still don't know what League of Legends is. I don't know what kind of game it is. I don't know what the gameplay is.
That is a great place for you to stay and live in.
As somebody who did play it like over a decade ago, I could explain it, but I would prefer you to just shoot me.
I'd rather.
I want to be where you are.
Just be a sweet baby child sitting in your room on a podcast petting your doggo. That's like what we want for you.
That's a fairy tale. Yeah. That's an urban legend. It's not a real thing to worry.
Oh, so this is something in my life that I can actually find happiness in, is what you're telling me. That's a rare.
No, wait.
And then Seth goes on to play League of Legends, and we never see him again. We have to get another white guy for this podcast.
Oh, I go super red pilled.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we should went there for we should do a study on the Minecraft pipeline versus the League of Legends pipeline. Like, see like what kind of flavor of red pill that ends up being. This could be a really interesting case study, Seth.
Hey. I will dedicate my mind to this science if I need. No, I won't. I won't do that. I don't have the energy.
But what if we offered you actual pills?
What kind of pills?
Whatever Elon Musk is taking these days.
It sucks that he ruined ketamine for everyone.
I know. I just sent you that video.
I know.
I'm not about to say drugs are cool, but how do you make ketamine uncool?
Yeah. But hey, you slip me some hydromorphone. I'll do whatever you want.
Official stance of the show.
What? I'm not agreeing to this.
And that's what we get ready to quit this episode.
Not yet, but
what's your prescription narcotic of choice? Go.
Weed is fine. I do edibles. Thank you so much. It's legal here. I'm set.
There's a liquor store across the street. Like, that's easy enough.
You said ibuprofen. Actual thing about me, I can no longer take. Oh, have we?
We've talked about this on the show before. You have to take Tylenol because ibuprofen doesn't work because you got overprescribed it. Or you overtook it back in the day.
I overtook ibuprofen, which has the same active ingredient. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that sucks though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I love ibuprofen. Ibuprofen's great.
We have a huge bottle of it at work, so I love it.
Any other notes you want to talk about, Brie?
I just, honestly, I just think that this season was not what I expected at all. I feel like I had a inkling of what it might be like, and it wasn't like that at all. I understand people's criticism of it, but I did like it a lot. Honestly, I feel like I always wanted to watch the next episode right away. I really like what they did with a lot of the characters. Honestly, like in a perfect world, I kind of wish that Jinx didn't die, but I also understand that it makes sense thematically.
I don't think she did.
Oh yeah, I guess there's a small kind of thing at the end, so inclination that maybe she didn't.
Yeah, well, there's a pink zip out when the explosion happens. If you watch that scene slowly, I caught that when I was watching it just now.
Oh, I would love that. I want her and Echo to be a cute little couple because that
sweet.
Broke my heart at the end where him being in the exact same spot, just without her. I was just like, there's a world where you were together and you were in love.
The scene where basically he pops back into that reality and has to spend the next however long constantly just rewinding when she's trying to off herself. I'm just can we please stop traumatizing Echo so much? He needs a break. Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, and even his response of I'm just gonna sit down.
Just the whole thing. I'm just oh God, you poor baby. I just wanted to hug him. Just it's okay.
Oh
I
yeah.
know. He is best boy, no question. And also I just like his power set so much in terms of like it's just like satisfying as fuck to watch,
Yeah.
especially at the very end where he's trying to save Jace. I'm like, oh, it just is fucking cool. So
Oh
I
yeah,
just like
well, especially
Yeah.
during like the final like battle kind of things, like he came in clutch on that whole thing.
Yeah.
he had so much agency,
When
and I love that.
I loved how they showed it, how we're in the like cosmic verse and you see that green zip go by first before the action sequence started. I really liked that.
Yeah. No, they did an amazing job with the animation. I like kind of like the different animation styles that they kind of started to mix in. At first, they were kind of jarring on my first watch through because I was watching this when it was coming out. My second watch through, I had more of an appreciation for it, but I also think I'm coming off of being inundated with so much AI animation, seeing actually well done, well thought out, well a lot of work and energy and thought went into it, just kind of being like, oh god, I really hope that we still keep this around, because I am not looking forward to the next 20 years of what animation's gonna look like.
It's worth it to pay people well because they do good fucking work and it's beautiful. I mean, honestly, this show, the artwork is just fucking stunning. Like technically, and again, the like different styles, like it's so fucking good. I would watch this show alone for the art style because it is so unique.
Yeah, like this art style is what AI thinks it is, and it's not even like, because there's so much of AI art that's out there that like is trying to replicate this, but like it has no soul.
It looks like shit. It always fucking does. It's so obvious. I hate that people are like, it's so real. I'm like, no, it fucking isn't.
Have you guys been seeing the Miyazaki shit? The like Studio Ghibli AI
the
stuff?
Miyazaki stuff.
Oh yeah, my favorite takes have been like, it's just like, I think we should just give Miyazaki a gun and legal immunity, and this is a direct quote from another creator that I sent out. But like, just kind of like, it's just like Miyazaki would literally fucking murder you for the shit you're doing right now.
He is quoted saying he hates it on multiple occasions. He's an artist.
Yeah, and like, I encourage anybody, like, I realize art is more difficult than it sounds. Like, we all three of us have had different artistic endeavors in the past, and we go through different like waves of just like being really into the art that we're doing, thinking our art sucks, going back to previous art and being like, oh hey, I actually did a really good job on this. Like, it's one of those things, like, art is all about the effort that goes into it, and I encourage anybody who even has like an inkling of wanting to just explore an art form to just give it a shot. Even if you end up not liking it, like, it's worth doing.
Yeah.
And art is hard.
Yeah, I can't write music to save my life. I still try.
Exactly.
And if you hate it, you never have to do it again. I think there's really no risk. Like, obviously, don't buy like a super expensive tablet and stuff. Like, start small, see if you like it, and it's okay. You have to be bad at something to be good at something.
Looks directly at all of my music equipment around me. And the amount of money I
ordered by all means.
I'm somebody who, I love drawing. I am shit at it, but I still derive joy from sitting and just doodling and making stupid shit that no one is ever going to see, because it brings me joy.
I go back to some of my old notebooks where like it was just like, I just doodled in like just the margins and everything else, just because like it's just like, I start taking notes and then I get bored and doodle. It's just like, oh, I forgot I did that. Oh, that was really fun. I was like, where was my headspace that day when I did that?
Yeah.
And then like I've said before, like I can't write music to save my life, but I love picking up the guitar or the bass and just trying to like let's find a riff maybe like is kind of interesting, that isn't like the typical just same 4 chords over and over again, and just kind of mess around. I've really been enjoying exploring bass playing more than I actually have ever enjoyed guitar, so it's been very interesting.
Bass is fun. Bass is a lot of fun.
I've been really enjoying doing bass, so I think we're going to start doing a few more bass tracks. I just need to get more into the habit of recording things, and it would be nice if I actually was in a space where I could use an actual amp instead of using emulators.
Yeah.
Like,
there is a difference. Like, I know emulators have become so popular, but there is a difference between using a legitimate amp than an emulator.
Yeah, and I don't want to shit on emulators because they have been very great, because it's like, cool, I can, do a bunch of things that I could never do before with emulators and everything else, but there is that electronic kind of like sound that kind of comes with them.
Yeah, there is.
I think that's
Sorry,
cool that you
I'm
discovered
looking
that
back
you
through
like
my book.
bass stuff more. So just
Yep.
'cause I feel like just to kind of cap off this part of the conversation, I just wanted to mention that life is a lot more fun if you approach it with curiosity versus judgment. You're never too old to learn a new skill.
Yeah.
And literally, I tell this to my students all the time, like, you fuck around and find out in the best way. Like, that's how you discover. Like, I was not good at dancing when I started. Arguably maybe I'm not good at it now, but like, I enjoy it. It makes me so fucking happy, and I've gotten better at it because I practice. I make shitty felt birds that I just give as gifts sometimes, and they're pretty shitty, but I think they're really cute, and I would never know that I liked doing that until I started. So it's just like, yeah, just life is too short. Do fun, silly things that make you happy. So that's my thesis.
Absolutely. And that's another thing. You're gonna suck at it for a long time before you're good at it.
Yeah, never approach any art form with this is how I'm gonna become rich and famous, because no, the fuck you're not.
That's capitalism, baby, and that's not your fault that you think that. You don't have to monetize everything you do. Sometimes things can just be for you.
And that's not me like trying to shit on your dreams. That is just me being like, if you approach this from the perspective of like, this is how I'm going to make money, you're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate it so much, and you're gonna get super discouraged. If you come to it from the perspective of, hey, this seems fun. I really like this. This podcast, for example, is just like we don't get views on this thing. We don't get shit off this thing. But
we don't.
I already told you. I already told you in
I
already told you in the pre-show. I can't pay you guys.
Yeah.
But no, like I get to spend every other week talking to Brie and Seth, and like this podcast, Seth, much to your point and yours as well, Brie. Like this podcast has gotten better, in my opinion, since we started it.
Honestly, much better.
We've upped the production value. Like we're all more comfortable doing it on a regular basis. We're horrible at scheduling.
Mostly me, I'm sorry.
And we've gotten very lazy on topics, but I think it's mostly because we're trying to kind of pare down and not necessarily have just like a bunch of shit that we just don't care about, and just more or less kind of focus it a little bit more. But I think we've been doing quite a good job, but if nobody ever listens to the show, I honestly don't give a shit.
And we learned that over time. And like, I feel like it was very like rigid when we first did it, because we had like 800 topics, and we're like, do we want to talk about this thing? And like, I think it just gets better the more we do it. Like that's how you get better at a thing. So
no, absolutely.
Seth, it looks like you had something you wanted to say.
Oh no, it took me 15 minutes to find, but this is one of my favorite drawings I've ever done.
Oh,
it's a man with a stoplight head.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
That makes me think of like a Borderlands character or something kind of like along those lines. Like,
oh yeah.
We're doing Borderlands next week, the movie.
No, we're not. The game or the movie, absolutely not.
No.
That's one he's vetoing.
I liked Borderlands 2 and even 3, but like even I'm just like, no, I am absolutely not doing that as a homework assignment.
Good to know. Fair enough.
Fair. I've never experienced anything, but I understand.
Speaking of video games, go ahead, Brie.
Oh, real quick.
My closing thoughts on Arcane too. I think it's a really good season. I understand people's criticisms. Oh my fucking god! But I think it was good overall. I really enjoyed it. I definitely want to watch it again. I think it's a really great ending for a lot of these characters, and I think they fucking knocked it out of the park with the show in general. And I would recommend it to most people.
Yeah, most of my small gripes about pacing aside, like. No, I think this was a really, really great season for the most part, and it's sad that they're not going to be doing more of it. They definitely could have fleshed out more things into more seasons if they wanted to, but I'm glad that they went with the approach of like, we're going to telling the story we want to tell.
Yes.
And we'll do other stories in the future. Yeah,
I didn't enjoy the first few episodes as much as the first season, but found that the season got better and better the more you watched it and the longer it went on. And I ended up really enjoying it. When after the first couple episodes, I was like, man, I don't know if I got a lot of good to say here. And then was completely turned around.
Yeah, I think the first, because they released this in arcs, so it's like it was 3 episode arcs. So every 3 episodes is kind of specifically That
Mhm.
and yeah, the first one, like especially because that is like the aftermath of everything. They have to do a lot of setup in that first arc before you get into, I think, a lot of stuff that had a lot of time and energy put into it.
Yeah, I see that.
Well, also
All
compared
right.
to the first season, I feel like the first season, the shit all happened in episode 3, so things got crazy very quickly. So I think it is kind of a hard comparison. So it's like, yeah, definitely didn't, because I think it's mentioned in the doc, but like it's season 2 is definitely a little more of a slow burn, where
Yeah.
you got that fucking very hard hit in
Yeah.
season 1 pretty early on, and you're like, oh fuck, this is happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I remember
Yeah.
season 1 feeling more like a slow burn, and then that was like where my pacing criticism comes in. It's like this one feels like basically you're going, and you're like a lot of stuff happens really quickly, and you don't have the time to process it.
yeah, fair.
That I would say I felt that for certain storylines where there were things where I was like, man, this is moving so fast. And then other storylines, I was like, they've halted this to a crawl for this storyline.
I think that's how I felt about Mel specifically. Was Mel's was like very long and drawn out, and then like a lot of stuff happens, and then you're just like, but I would like to see that stuff though. I like Mel as a character. I would like that fleshed out more.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I don't need an entire episode where Jace is just suffering for the entire thing. I don't care if he comes out hot at the end.
I care. I care.
It just makes me think of that TikTok
He
audio.
looks
It's
good
just
with
like
a
he looks up.
beard.
He got
Yeah, he
50
does.
times hotter when his life fell apart.
That's when I got more traction. I understand.
Again,
I
he
can
came out of
fix him.
he came out of the hex skin. I was just like, oh god, he's hot.
Oh, he can
It's the
get
same
it.
thing that happened to me. Like life got tough, I got hotter. That's how you respond.
Listen, I love that.
All right. Well,
Yes,
don't
if
have mu-
life gets tough, it just means God is making you more attractive.
Get
And
hot.
you just gotta hang in there.
all right. Well, we don't have much in terms of other topics on the dock, but there was some kind of news which is relevant to a lot of what we talk about, and specifically, I want to center it around the Switch 2 announcements that recently came out, and how is video gaming gonna become too expensive to be a hobby anymore?
Yes.
I feel like this is my fault because a few
You had
episodes
that-
ago, I had that rant where I was like, oh shit, I'm disagreeing with what I'm saying as it's coming out. And yeah, video games are getting more. Christian Devine did a whole TikTok on how like video games have never been cheap. And like, and I'm like, thank you for summing up my bad take in a much better way.
Yeah. No, obviously we are currently in a geopolitical climate where everything's about to get a lot more expensive. And so we're seeing the results of that. Nintendo is breaking the seal on $80 video games. Is this the first $500 Nintendo console? Because Nintendo's always been known for being slightly more affordable, at least like since the GameCube.
It might be not adjusted for inflation, but it might be the most expensive console they've released.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's more than a Switch dock, which I didn't realize that until today.
yeah, and
Twitch,
weird that-
not Switch. Sorry.
yeah, and it's also weird considering the fact they're coming into this with more competition in the space because the Steam Deck exists, and the Steam Deck is looking like a much better value.
100%.
It is.
But again, this is opening the floodgates for other console manufacturers to charge more. It's especially since they make more powerful consoles than Nintendo. Game companies are going to be like, okay, Nintendo charges $80 for their AAA titles. We're going to start charging $80 for our AAA titles. And Nintendo never discounts their games. This isn't like
Ever.
Yes.
if you want to play the new Doom, you play the launch price, but if you wait 6 months to a year, like it'll go on a Steam sale type thing. Like they never discount anything. And so it's setting the precedent, and it's making it to where it's just like, especially where I'm at right now, it's just like, am I going to be able to afford to buy video games pretty soon?
Yeah, it really feels that way of like, you know, because the whole Nintendo never discounting things was a shock to me because I waited a few years before getting a Switch because I was like, oh, the games will be cheaper. And then they weren't. And there were so many games I couldn't play because I was like, I don't I don't want to pay $60 for Mario. I don't want to pay. And now it's $80 digital, $90 physical. That is ridiculous.
And
Yeah.
physical's still a big thing on Nintendo's ecosystem. Like, we think it's gotten phased out, but my nephew owns a Switch, and basically, like, he can't have a credit card attached to that thing because you have that risk of like him getting it and then doing a bunch of microtransactions and everything else.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
for his Switch, I've had to buy him physical copies of games because
Yeah.
he has the game, he can play it, and then he doesn't have. I don't have to worry about him like doing a bunch of microtransactions or anything like that.
Well, and then also the fact that a lot of the physical games are just unlock keys for digital downloads, and the
Yeah.
game
Yep.
doesn't actually exist on cartridge. That's
Mhm.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not looking good, and like, yeah, we could just say like, well, this is local to Nintendo. Other companies are gonna follow suit with this because you think Ubisoft or EA or Activision aren't gonna start charging you $80 for their AAA titles? Everybody's waiting for Rockstar to charge you $100 for GTA. Like, they're like waiting
Yep.
in the wings for that to happen. What I will say is support indie titles.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There's still a lot of good stuff happening in the indie space. PC building is not going to be cheap for a while, especially with all the tariff stuff happening. But
Yeah.
if you can get your hands on like a decent PC rig, even look into a Steam Deck, that could be a great. Like, honestly, I want a Steam Deck just so I can play indie games like on the road. I could like load up Unpacking literally on that and just actually finish it. Sorry, we haven't gotten around to it.
Well, why
Again,
wouldn't you? It's a great game, honestly. So
It is
Again,
great. It
it
is
is
wonderful.
absolutely, it's an amazing game, and there's so many indie titles that I think would just work really well on that. But yeah, I'm worried because I feel like last time we were in a major recession, which obviously we're in right now, and it's not a recession's coming, we're in it, people.
Yep.
Like, gaming was a very popular kind of just like escapist thing, but like now it's like I feel like it's going to be something that's going to be priced out for a lot of people for a while.
Yeah.
I can't imagine justifying that price. Like, especially because Steam is what it is and the Steam Deck is at the price that it's at. It's just like there's no comparison. And there's so many good indie games that, like, honestly, I feel like are capped a lot of the time at like $30. I feel like
Yeah.
why wouldn't you just buy an indie game that might be just as good, if not better, in a lot of like situations? I honestly very much regret buying my Switch. I don't like, the only reason I did was like to help a friend, and I've played a couple of games on it, but
Yeah.
certainly not to justify the price of a Switch.
Yeah.
I don't know who else would want this except for like a hardcore Nintendo fan, and even
Yeah.
then they're not going to be able to afford it at some point. So especially with how often they put games out, like $100 every couple of months, that's not, nobody can fucking
Yeah.
do that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know.
like-
I'm definitely not planning on buying one, and I would probably go Steam Deck
No.
before I do that. And this is coming from like if they had a AAA Zelda coming out on like launch, I would be like, fuck. But like now I'm just like, even that now would not sell it to me right now.
Well, and a long-standing joke of this show is that all three of us forget that we even have a Switch.
I don't know where it is.
Like-
Still,
Mine's over there, but that's because I unpacked it earlier this week.
there we go.
And like that's the only reason I know where it is. But yeah, my Switch experience, like I've said before, I bought it so I could experience like Nintendo. I read Console Wars, that made me want to experience Nintendo first party games. Got the Switch, and then pretty much every game I've gotten for it are indie games or third party games
Mhm.
that like Portal, where it's like, oh, they released a collection of it that I don't have to keep my Xbox plugged in for. Cool. I
Yeah.
guess I'll download that.
Yep. And again, corporations aren't your friends. I will say Steam has a much better track record in general when it comes to consumer practices, where it's just like, you buy the games, you have access to your library at any time, regardless if you change over devices.
Yeah.
It is still DRM, and you don't own your games technically. So like, if Steam decides to pull the plug, they can absolutely do that. But they have created a lot of good faith, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So like, So even though, like, again, I will never say like Steam is amazing, just love Steam. I'm just going to say like, hey, like if you're going to be going down the route, look into getting a Steam Deck or even just like a cheap gaming laptop that most indie games can run on those things, no problem whatsoever.
There's a lot of good ones out there, honestly, and even pre-built are not that bad anymore. So obviously do your research. But I did want to mention another factor to this is just like I did play the fuck out of like the newer Pokemon games when they came out. But I will say I can't imagine spending $90 on those fucking low quality fucking shit games. I love the fuck out of it, but like I didn't pay that much for them. So I'm just like they are not worth $90.
Nintendo's entire marketing practice literally is nostalgia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always has been. And the fact that they're now charging $500 for the nostalgia plus the $90 price tag, like, fuck off.
And it looks like shit, and it runs like 2 frames per second? Fuck that. Are you kidding? So, no.
Well, and we're living in an age where even iPhone users can download ROMs and play. Like, I played Pokemon Silver on my phone a couple months ago.
Literally, I used to have a Kindle Fire, and I downloaded a Game Boy Advance emulator and played Pokemon Fire Red on that thing. Just basically had a giant like tablet size thing of playing a Game Boy game, and it was incredible.
Yeah, I bet it was.
And Nintendo, I don't give a shit if you think that that's Seth, I paid for Fire Red years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit if I didn't pay for it to play it that night. I don't care.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Oh, it's just a digital backup for something you already own, and that's what we're gonna say in court.
Maybe let people own the media that they purchase. Just
a thought. Could be fun,
right? Yeah.
Anyways, is there anything else we want to talk about before we wrap the show up?
I feel like there was something I wanted to bring up, but I can't remember it now.
Well, we already talked about ketamine.
And as much as I'd love to talk about that again, maybe we don't.
I made a TikTok about this. I have friends who are on ketamine, and they have never once offered me some, and I feel offended. Are they even really my friends?
Well, this goes back to the video I sent you where it's just like, it's just like there's that one friend who like grabs the steering wheel when you're veering off the road, and that's the most jarring friend.
Yeah. I mean, it was my fault for taking my hands off the wheel in the first place, but yeah.
Oh my God. Lordy.
All right. Well, I think this is a good time for us to wrap up then. I am TCK Media Productions. You can find me on pretty much most handles. I'm kind of slow rolling a lot of content, but hopefully I get back on it. You have the Raccoon Loon herself, Brie. You can find her on Game Birds, her show that she does with her friend Alice, talking about indie games. She should be back in the saddle pretty soon. I haven't seen anything new yet. Yeah, that's F23, who you can see on the TikTokies. And Seth, it is actually your next homework assignment. So what are we doing next time?
So I wanted to bring the second reading assignment. It is Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. I don't know how much Brie is going to get out of this, but I think I'm joking. I want to do.
I was actually I was like, okay. I was just like, so next episode is the Seth therapy episode, like full therapy.
No, I actually want to do The Last of Us Season 1. If you want to play the game, you can, but I would like to do... it's been a minute, and I want to get geared up for Season 2 starting. So, yeah, Last of Us Season 1.
Yeah, okay, cool. I don't think I have...
I never finished that, so I'm very excited. I kind of forgot about it.
I didn't finish it either. Emily was watching it, so I've seen at least the main highlights. And again, I know the story general of Last of Us, which I know adaptation, everything else. But regardless, yeah, no, it should be interesting. All right, cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Anyways, that's our show, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye. I'm sorry.